The story of Overwatch is a thrilling tale of heroism filled to the very brim with heroes, and fights, and also robots, and humans who are terrorists, or maybe they're actually robots. Well, there's only one way to find out. Gather around and listen as I whisk your gentle minds away on this heroic journey. Once upon a time in the future, there was a young and innocent giant corporation. But this wasn't just any corporation, this was Omnica. They stood at the cutting edge of self-improving software and created the very first sentient robotic beings. And they made huge factories that were ran by self-improving programs to mass-produce their various robotic designs. All with good intentions, mind you. Their goal was to create an economic golden age, a utopian example of egalitarianism where everybody's equality is equally equal to each other's equalness. Unless you're a robot. How could anybody possibly expect their plan to backfire? A bunch of factories ran by some super robo-brains could never turn around and bite people in their vulnerable human tushies. And let me tell you, the programs that ran these factories were smart. Like, really smart. When it comes to how smart programs could be, these guys were seriously the best of the best. The pick of the litter. The cream of the crop. You might even say they were godly. Like some sort of god program. That's a cool sounding name. Anyway, the Omnica Corporation erected their god-programmed helmed factories on every human-filled corner of the world, surrounding the entire planet's population with delightfully friendly robot friends that could never pose any sort of threat to anybody ever. Really, it was great. The Omnics made everybody's lives easier and did all the annoying jobs that people didn't want to do, like your taxes, or monotonous construction work. And to top it all off, they really did fix everybody's economies. Everything was great. But then something happened. Something so horrifyingly shocking and unspeakable that I hesitate to even speak of it. Corporate fraud. Ooh, scary. Yes, the ever so productive Omniums began malfunctioning one day, and then a friendly neighborhood business analyst came by and helpfully pointed out that Omnica could never meet the projections at the rate things were going. Something was amiss! And the people of the world weren't born yesterday, everybody. The public outcries and whistleblowing of Omnica's shady dealings led to an investigation deep into the unforgiving trenches of the corporate system, uncovering clear signs of fraudulency. They were liars, swindlers, charlatans, I say! What does this mean, though? What specifically did the Omnica Corporation do to deserve such public repudiation? Well, the details aren't important, but what is important is the fact that now Omnica, along with all of their Omniums, were being shut down. And to be honest, it's kind of surprising how smoothly all of this was going. I mean, wouldn't you expect something that was given the gift of free thought and self-awareness to develop some sort of defense mechanism? I would. Oh well. Hey, wait a minute, oh god! Oh, that's not good. What's an unforeseeable turn of events? It turns out the super smart god programs kept learning stuff even after being turned off. And they went from being super smart to being mega smart, or maybe even ultra smart. And they definitely didn't seem very happy about the whole being shut down thing, because they were going crazy. Look at how crazy they're going! They even used their ultra smartness to take over the friendly Omnics' minds. And with the factories they controlled, they started churning out these militarized soldier Omnics, vile amalgamations of friendly robot friend and death. Like this one, the Bastion unit. Gaze in horror at its glowing eye thingy. Look at the way it plants itself into the ground and spews an endless rain of terror and destruction upon their unsuspecting foes. Soulless machines of death, mercilessly splattering their targets into oblivion, shredding through shields, armor, flesh, and bones alike in a fiery hail of molten lead, leaving nothing but puddles of blood, urine, and rage-filled tears that strike fear into even the most seasoned of heroes' hearts. Sorry. Anyway, it's pretty clear the world really got flipped on its head here. Russia was turned into a war zone, while Australia was turned into a barren wasteland. And all of India was just gone, while Korea and Japan had this giant robot to deal with. And I'm sure stuff happened in the other countries too. This was an all-out Omnic crisis. Oh, the humanity! Who will save us in this desperate time of need? How can we possibly hope to survive the unbounded onslaughts of mechanical militancy? I'll tell you how. Overwatch! Oh yeah! That's right, the OG team. Reinhardt, the gigantic and dashingly handsome German with a rocket-powered hammer of justice. And Anna, the lovely Egyptian sniper. She was so good at aiming and shooting that she could shoot band-aids onto you right in the middle of a fight. Then there were these super soldier guys from America, Jack Morrison and Gabriel Reyes. They were cool. And from Sweden, there was Torbjorn, the crafty engineer whose beard was so magnificent that some believed it could stop bullets dead in their tracks. And there was one other guy too, Liao. Nobody's ever seen him before, though. These were the world's heroes, an elite strike team assembled by the United Nations to combat the menacing machinations of the Omnic military. And they did. With Overwatch's help, the God programs were defeated. I mean, they couldn't actually destroy them, but they were able to quarantine them, and that's just as good, I think. Either way, the world wasn't being attacked by robots anymore, and everybody loved Overwatch. So much so that the United Nations showered them with funding and recruited a myriad of likable and diverse characters to do more heroic stuff. And every team needs a leader, so they picked this guy, Strike Commander Morrison they called him. Of course, this wasn't a completely unanimous decision. Morrison's friend Gabriel was understandably peeved about the whole situation. After all, he outranked Morrison back in the military. He was the most experienced soldier here, not Morrison. But the higher-ups had different plans for him, for there was a secret branch of Overwatch that needed a leader too, a branch that worked in the classified shadows of covert operations, and that branch's name was Blackwatch. And let me tell you, you don't even want to know what kind of missions these guys would go on. They were dark and terrible assignments. Just thinking of the very nature of them is enough to drive the average person insane. So you could imagine how the entire world felt when they found out. Yes, information of Blackwatch's existence was leaked for all the world to see, and the public outcries were plentiful and scrutinizing. How quickly they turned their backs on their once beloved heroes who so graciously risked their very lives to protect humanity from extinction at the hands of angry computerized fiends. And it wasn't just the public who was angry, there was plenty of tension within Overwatch too. And eventually our friend Gabriel snapped and challenged Commander Morrison to a fight to the death. A battle so intense and deadly that the very ground upon which they stood trembled, and in the crossfire they destroyed Overwatch's Swiss headquarters in a huge explosion like bang! And that's where the people of the world drew the line, forcing the whole Overwatch team to go their separate ways. But the peace once held under Overwatch's protective eye would never last without them. Even with Overwatch, things were already shaky at best, and now there was nobody to clean up the various confusing messes of violence and turmoil. Like in Australia, they were trying to keep things peaceful with the local Omnic population, returning the Australian Omnium's land back to them. But then a disaffected group of rogue insurrectionists blew up the factory's fusion core, turning the post-Omnic Crisis Australian wasteland into a post-nuclear fallout post-Omnic Crisis Australian wasteland. And in Russia, one of the Omniums turned itself back on, so now the crazy brainwashed robots were back again after like 30 years. I mean, it wasn't as bad as last time, but still. And everywhere else there were these crazy terrorist guys. They called themselves Talon and were super scary. They made things even worse. The world was really losing its marbles. And that's when our gorilla friend Winston pressed the magical button that would call all his Overwatch friends and bring the band back together. And now we reach an end to our story. Only time will tell what happens next. Will Overwatch save the world once again? Or is the mysterious organization of Talon too much for them to handle? If you ask me, they all seem a little preoccupied playing capture the flag with each other. But there you have it! That is the story of Overwatch! Hey wait, where are you going? Don't leave yet! You want to press that subscribe button first. That way you can hear more stories about exciting adventures from us. Or you can watch some other stuff, like this guy playing video games with his mom. That's fun. Or don't, you know, you could just leave and be lame. Alright, bye.